up, guys? It's Peter from Backwards Entertainment. Today, it's time for another unmasked movie review. This time, we're doing Detective Pikachu. Before I even start with the movie, I went to the theater and I got little trading cards. I went opening day. I just haven't had a chance to make this video yet. So we're gonna together figure out what cards I get. Let me see. Okay, so I got Detective Pikachu. Okay, I got, can't even see. Oh, cool, that's Psyduck. Alright, that's pretty sweet. Oh, this is lame. They only give you 2 cards. Oh, what the fuck is it? Oh, it's an ad. Look at it. It's an ad telling me to, go see the movie again so I can get more cards. This is a fucking gimmick. But they are official, like, Pokemon-style trading card games, or trading cards, so that's cool. Not that anyone really knows how to play the card game, and if you say you do, you're lying. So, Detective Pikachu. I haven't really kept up with Pokemon past Johto. I was interested in starting Pokemon again with the introduction of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but after seeing the more casual approach to Pokemon, I just wasn't into it as much. So, but I am looking forward to Pokemon Sword and Shield. I think that might be the first time in a very long time that I pick up a new Pokemon game. And I didn't know anything about the Detective Pikachu game. Like, I know it exists, but I didn't pick it up. I just thought it was a really odd concept. And then the movie, when the movie was announced, I was surprised too. At the same time, with like how much Hollywood loves to change the source material when it comes to video game movie adaptations. Like, you can look at the Sonic the Hedgehog movie as a prime example of that. It made sense to me that they would pick Detective Pikachu rather than just a straight-up Pokemon movie, because Detective Pikachu does kind of lend itself to that Hollywood approach, especially because it's, I don't know the game particularly, but it looks like it was a homage to film noir, like detective stories of the 1930s, and 1940s probably too, so I can see why they would pick that. And the good news about Detective Pikachu is you don't need to be very familiar with the source material, which was a very good thing for me. And I saw the movie, and after coming out, I think Detective Pikachu is quite possibly the absolute best video game to movie adaptation. Now, that's kind of a low bar because they've been pretty garbage for the most part. But Detective Pikachu, even disregarding that it comes from a video game, it's a very serviceable movie. It's okay. I really wasn't expecting anything, on the lines of like Pixar or Disney or DreamWorks or anything like that, but it ended up kind of feeling like the most expensive Nickelodeon made-for-TV movie ever. So I'll give you a quick plot synopsis and I'll tell you all the things I like or dislike. So Detective Pikachu tells the story of a young boy whose name I already forget, but he's played by, I think the actor's name is Justice Smith. He's just an insurance guy in some city, and he gets a call saying his father's been murdered. So he goes to, deal with that, deal with getting his father's affairs in order, dealing with the loss of his father. And he finds a Pikachu rummaging through his father's stuff, and he finds out he can understand the Pikachu, and he doesn't know why. And the Pikachu is investigating his father's murder, and the two of them team up trying to put the pieces back together to figure out what exactly happened to Justice Smith's father. And that's it. It's a pretty simple premise. The main actor, Justice Smith, he's okay. Like, I don't think I've seen him in anything prior, but he was fine. One of the things that sold me on the trailer was Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu, because I know a lot of people wanted, there's this thing about Danny DeVito being Pikachu, which I'm so glad they didn't do, because as a diehard It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fan, that would have been distracting as fuck. And also, like, I understand it's a noir sort of homage, but to have somebody who sounds like the stereotypical noir character on top of that, it would have made it feel kind of just a little too stale. But with Ryan Reynolds, he brings this spunky energy to the Pikachu role, and his lines aren't funny. Most of Pikachu's lines actually are not very funny, but he makes them work, and he says them in a way that, while they're not always funny, it's amusing. And Ryan Reynolds definitely, like, my wife's biggest fear was that he was going to be distracting. We both came out of it going, no, he really wasn't that distracting. It didn't feel like Deadpool making fun of Pokemon the whole way through. It just felt like a straightforward Ryan Reynolds performance. And it was good. There's a love interest in the movie, though, who is not good. Justice Smith feels like he's at a top-tier Nickelodeon kids movie. And, I don't know this actress's name, but she very, very much feels like she's at a lower tier Nickelodeon movie, or even like a lower tier Disney movie. Her acting it gets better, but her introduction is terrible, and she was really kind of distracting with how off she was. And I don't know if it was intentional given the context of that scene. I don't think it was, because I really had to get used to her. I really like the look of this movie. The movie it's dark looking when it needs to be, but it's not miserable. The cinematography has a lot of harsh shadows, and one thing I really liked about this movie was Rhyme City, which is a city that is cohabitated by Pokemon and humans, and it really looked interesting and cool. The Pokemon in this movie, I recognize a lot of them, but the thing is, they're done in a photorealistic kind of style, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, because you don't want to make them too realistic, because then they're going to look horrifying, but you don't want to make them look too cutesy, otherwise they're just going to look like out of place. They definitely look like they are in place. They definitely look like they belong to this world. The issue with them is that I don't think the CGI on them is very good. They just kind of always look like they were inserted, particularly some of the flying Pokemon. There's an earlier scene with, I don't know if it's a Pidgeotto or a Pidgeot, but they looked really fake, especially when it's like a shot of them going off into the sunset. The lighting was really bothering me, but that's it. I mean, they never look like they're really there, but they never look awful. There's not a lot of action. There is some towards the end and a little bit towards the middle. One of the things I didn't like is that Pikachu has amnesia as well in this. Pikachu has amnesia in this movie, and Pikachu doesn't remember how to do his moves. That I didn't like, because it just kind of felt like a cop-out to not give us some cool action scenes. The mystery is not a particularly complex mystery, although there is a very, very clever use of the Pokemon Ditto in this movie that I thought was fantastic. The mystery itself is nothing amazing. A lot of people were able to figure out who the villain was. I don't think many people were able to figure out the plan, but it was interesting to see how many people could just like go, oh yeah, this is where it's going to be. I really liked the use of, they use holograms to do flashbacks in this movie, and they're very stylistic and well done, and they do this thing where they're trying to hide the identity, or the face, I should say, of, what's it called, Justice Smith's dad. And Justice Smith's dad is distracting, I could say. You'll understand why, but it is very distracting when all is said and done. I can't really go past that. And like I said before, this movie's not hilarious. There are some funny moments. There's the funniest thing is probably what they do with Mr. Mime. I thought that was a pretty entertaining way they got around to making him talk. And that whole scene, if you took that scene literally, then it would be like a hard R scene in this PG movie. But they're clever in the way that they do it, and it ended up being a very entertaining scene and a very smart scene, I think. And that's kind of one of the smartest scenes in this movie. This isn't a particularly thoughtful movie. This isn't a particularly amazing movie. It's just a pretty good movie. I can't imagine people hating this. It's so vanilla that I couldn't possibly see how anyone could hate it. I can understand someone maybe not getting into it, but I just thought it was a harmless little bit of fun. And it definitely feels like one of those movies that you could just put on in the background. Like, it's just so, I don't want to say nothing, but it's just so inoffensive. And for what it is, I think that's fine. For what it was trying to do, and for what it's adapting Pokemon, I think it did a relatively good job. And it's weird, though. Like, Pokemon, I remember back in the 90s thinking that was going to go away. Here we are 20 years later, and it's still going strong. Every time I think Pokemon is going to finally fade off and die, they do something to reinvent it. I thought it was going to die, and then Pokemon Go, and then I thought it was going to die again, and then now Detective Pikachu. So Pokemon is still going very strong, And, you know, good for them for keeping a fan base for 20 plus years. And then good on them, too, for delivering something that didn't completely shit on what they love. This movie both celebrates and kind of makes fun of it, but in a inoffensive, heartfelt manner. So I enjoyed the movie. I don't think it's fantastic. I just think it's a decent little bit of waste of time. So the final score for Detective Pikachu is a 6.5 out of 10. Not much I disliked, but the things I did like were only a little bit of like, I guess is the way I would put it. Nothing wowed me. It was just all just pleasant entertainment. So that's what I think. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think, because I can see this being a little bit mixed, but I don't think this would be a particularly hate-filled movie. I don't think this is going to warrant a lot of criticism. I think people are just going to look at this as just, oh yeah, that was fun. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.